I started yoga when I was, I think, 9 years old. And it happened so that my mom was the one who actually got us to the institute. It was me, also a couple of my friends who came along at the institute, and we were in the children's class. So I am teaching the same class I got in through. At first, I would not call it practice as such because it was a Sunday morning 8 a.m. class. So we were very lazy to get up on a Sunday morning. And I think as kids are very reluctant, we need one day as a holiday. It was something that was not really a practice as such to come to the class and be very sincere to start with. But yes, as the years went along, as the years passed, it did pick up and become a practice. I was a very little kid. I think at first I was a little reluctant, I would say, to come into the class and do something on a Sunday morning. On the other days, we had school anyway. So again, we don't have even one day to, just be in the bed and sleep for a little longer. But later on, when things started to change, wherein I started understanding what and why we do certain things in classes, also the stories. I used to love stories, used to look forward to stories. In the small kids class, we still tell a lot of stories. So that was something that I started looking forward to. There were moral stories, just like Yoga Shastra has stories. And also, for the annual day, we used to prepare a drama. There was a children's class drama or a children's class play that used to happen every year, and we participated in that. So, staying back for practice for the play was a major, I would say, influence or something that excited us. One of the things when I was a kid was just meeting Guruji. In our mind, or for that matter, my mind, Guruji was like a genie or a magical guy. We were always looking forward to getting a glimpse of where Guruji is, what is he doing. And at the same time, we were also kind of intimidated. What if Guruji is watching? What if Guruji is watching our poses? What if Guruji is watching my Trikonasana, Trikonasana? And also our teachers at that time used to tell us or instruct us that what if Guruji is watching? How is your pose going to be? So like Prashant sir today also says, if Guruji is here, how would your pose be? So that aura and that energy that Guruji had was always something which was a little intimidating, but at the same time also something that we used to look forward to. We used to want Guruji in classes. So when I was a little kid, I think he was visiting the children's class every month. Also, when he was coming in on the Sunday morning, he used to practice behind on the Viparita Dandasan benches. And he used to be in one pose for almost 30 minutes, 45 minutes. That was fascinating in itself to watch. He did teach children's classes, and I was lucky to be in those children's classes wherein he came into the class and taught certain poses. He taught how the teachers at that time on how to teach children. These were the major pointers that he used to give out. Particular peculiar memory that I remember is that of Guruji in children's class when he had called me upon the platform. So I was the tallest kid in children's class, and used to come at around my shoulder level. And when he had called me on the platform, he asked me to raise my arms up for Urdhva Hastasana, just raise the arms up. And it happened so that he also did Urdhva Hastasana, wherein his hand reached way above my hand. And I was so amazed. I was like, God, look at that. It's so tall and his arms were so long. So that was really fascinating. And he also stood against my back, wherein we raised our arms up. And then he was telling the other kids, look, he's so tall. And still my arms are over his arms. So extend your arms for Urdhva. That was an amazing memory that was like an opener for me. I was like, wow. So the other memory that I have is that of Pulam balance. I was very humbly put shy of Pulam balance. Actually, I was very scared of Pulam balance for a very long time. I was like, the idea of going on the hands and standing on the hands is not my cup of tea at all. And I had a very nice idea. As soon as they used to call out for Pulam balance, I used to go and hide behind a pillar. So, and when the rounds are over, okay, I did it in the first round and go with the children of the first round going back to the center because we had couple of rounds in Pulam balance and just quickly slip into the batch which has already done Pulam balance. This continued for a very long time until one day, Abhijata, she spotted that I have not been doing Pulam balance in classes. And he helped me to go up in Pulam balance at that time. And after that, there was also a practice session that used to run wherein Guruji used to come to the main hall on Sundays, used to practice behind and also instruct the teachers, check on what children are doing, and also continue his practice after. And in that practice session, I remember Guruji telling us about how the arms should be your drivers if the legs are your engine to go up to Pulam balance. So the driver has to be alert, the driver has to be sharp, and full arm balance has to be done throwing your arms down. So for children, we take full arm balance, not taking the arms down first, but we are away from the wall, and with that momentum, children lift the legs up. So I remember this very peculiarly because that is when I got full arm balance on my own for the very first time.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
that is something I will always remember because after a gap of 7 or 8 months of hiding behind a pillar, finally I had a little confidence to do Pulam balance. So I think it was very natural. The friends were a major influence also. It was not popular in school. We did a lot of other activities than yoga. So coming up on Sunday morning for yoga itself was getting interesting. Initially, it was something that we were reluctant. We didn't want to do, or for that matter, I was the one who was always hiding behind a pillar when my mom was also observing the class and observing what I'm doing in classes. So I used to try to hide from her, then try to hide from the teachers. We used to play a lot in the main hall. We used to play tag. We used to play hide and seek. So these are the things that also got us together. At the same time, that was something which made it really interesting. And later, also when started understanding a little better, deeper perspective of what asanas are about, what and why we are doing certain things, it became really interesting and really explorative. So that is how I think it was very natural for me to get into and stay at the institute. I started teaching late in my teens, I would say. I think I was around 18. And that is when I went onto the stage. It was kind of very natural to first become a demonstrator, then start instructing a few kids. When, for example, the main teacher or who's conducting the class used to take full arm balance or Shirshasana near the wall, there was a group of kids who was waiting for their turn to go to the wall. So we used to take, say, Paschima Namaskarasan, Gomukhasan, or Surya Namaskars in the center. So small instructions started out, and that is how I gave out instructions first, and then it went on to teaching, wherein I think it was very natural. I don't recall as such when I started taking the class, but I do recall one of my teachers just telling me to go on the platform and just teach, say, standing poses to start with. And I also recall me asking whether the sequences are all, should I note them down before the class? Because when I go on the stage, I'm very nervous. So these were the small steps and stages, I think. And eventually, when I was 18, I started teaching the children's class. I think children are full of unlimited potential and unlimited energy. And it always energizes me also to be with the children and teach the children or do a children's class also. So that is something which always motivates me to teach kids. The other aspect would also be that the children are very real. If they are bored, you can really see it in their body language. And if they are uh, reluctant or if they are interested, everything is portrayed like a mirror. So it is a challenge. At the same time, it is also a responsibility. It is challenging to, in a playful way, to convey the lessons of yoga. And since the children are absolutely like a mirror, they are real. Their body would, or their body language would give you what they really feel. So that is something which is really a good feedback for a teacher, I think. And that keeps you motivated and at the same time testifies you yourself, your knowledge, and how you are portraying it in front of the kids.
So it sounds like it takes a lot of work to teach the children. I mean, it's not just, do this pose, do that pose. There's more involved.
Absolutely. And I would say that involvement is more than worth of that little effort that one has to put in. Subconsciously, your analytical mind, your cognitive abilities definitely get enhanced and developed at the right stage. Also, children who have this attention deficit disorder,
right,
and yogasanas definitely help you in getting your focus together, getting that poise together, not just a raw focus. It is not just a mechanical focus. It is the child getting involved into that subject, involved into what he or she is reading. So I am 100% sure that yogasanas definitely influence that. I'm sure it did play a role to really have an increased stamina. For that matter, I was into badminton, I was into football in school. So I had a better stamina. I could focus. I could have a better discipline. And in studies too, I think it made helped me concentrate better. It made me a little sharp. It made me efficient in how much I'm studying, what I'm doing. And it does definitely play a subconscious and unconscious role, even though the approach is always playful. So it definitely does influence, and it did for me too. And later in my teens, Guruji used to ask a few of us who were appearing for the 10th grade exam, which is thing here, wherein after the 10th grade, you enter, I think, an equivalent to high school, and it is a decider of your career path there itself. So an important exam like that, Guruji used to tell us, do 5 minutes of Shirshasana, 5 minutes of Sarvangasana. If you can do 10 minutes of Shirshasana, 10 minutes of Sarvangasana. And that really did help us in the papers for that matter. That really helped us in the examination. We were confident. There was a certain poise. The nervousness was less. I wouldn't say it's absolutely gone, but it was definitely less. And there was a sense of satisfaction after coming out of that examination. Thank you so much for inviting me for this conversation. Thank you.